Hey, would it be possible for you to let in my second system?
Yeah, hi. What is your second system?
It's Melanie Martinelli.
Yeah, I'm doing that right now. Should I make that a co-host as well?
Yes, that'd be great.
Okay, yes. And also the learning gym, just a second.
That's already in the learning gym.
Yeah.
Wait, I'll admit it. I saw it myself, so I'll just admit it.
Yeah, you can admit it. Right, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, a warm welcome back. A warm welcome back to the last session of the day, a coffee chat with Melanie Martinelli, live from Switzerland. We are waiting for our participants to just join in. Please give us a few more moments, Melanie. As per your request, the video, audio, and chat options of all participants are kept enabled.
Sure, perfect. Yeah. Feel free, everyone. If you do want to join on video, audio, you can do that. We're going to try and make this as interactive. It's supposed to be a coffee chat. It's kind of hard to have a chat with yourself. So feel free to kind of enable all of this. And if you actually do want, hi, Krish, how are you? And you let me know whenever you want me to get started.
Yes, so we have a lot of participants who are in the queue, and although the admit all option is enabled, they are coming in one by one. So
that's called bandwidth.
Absolutely.
Which is one of the things we'll talk about when you're choosing your virtual tools. Definitely one thing you want to consider is the kind of bandwidth they might actually eat up.
Right. So I think you can more or less start now do the warm up and.
Sure, absolutely. Great. Well, then a warm welcome. I guess you've all had a pretty long day. I might be in Switzerland, so you can guess that my day is still a little bit, it's a little bit earlier. It's 12:30 over here. However, I did have a 4 a.m. start because until not long ago, I did live in India, and still most of my clients are based in the APAC region, and happened that today I was actually working with clients in New Zealand and Australia, getting me up pretty early myself. So we're going to have a coffee chat about mixing it all up and what are some of the tools out there that you can maybe use to create engagement in your virtual training. I mean, I don't know how it is for you, but at least for me, it's now been close to 18 months that I have not stepped out of this home office. Every single business interaction, every single training, and I do training almost every day, has been online. And when I look back where we started off a year ago and where we are today, we've experimented quite a bit. And so I guess Christian and Johnny have asked me to share with you a little bit and engage you in a little bit of an interactive discovery of some of the tools that we kind of have made a standard to use in most of our programs. Why we've chosen particularly those ones, I'll tell you as we go along, but we'll actually also get to experience them. And let's actually just start with the first one, probably one that most of you know as well. I've just posted a link in the chat, and I would invite you to just share with us on this Mentimeter little survey, what are some of your favorite tools? So before I'm going to share with you my favorite tools to create an engagement in virtual training sessions, why don't we just get to hear a little bit from you? So feel free, as you click on the link in the chat, it should take you to a separate browser window and you can share with us up to 5 tools. So you got to make a choice, your top 5 tools that you might be using in the virtual space. And as you do that, I'm going to share the screen in a moment so that we can see what others are contributing and you can see what's going to come in there. And for that, though, I just quickly need to make sure if you could, whoever is the one with the host rights, if you just could give rights to my system to share screen, that would be super useful. So I can actually share the results with everyone.
Melanie, you are the co-host, so you can definitely share the screen.
So I cannot share from my other system, which is the one where I'm projecting from. So if you could make Melanie Martinelli the second system of mine a co-host, that would be great.
Okay, just a second, coming up. Make co-host. Do you want to make co-host? Yes, absolutely.
Perfect.
Done, Melanie.
Yes, wonderful. So let's see what comes up here. Let me just project that. And as you can see, of course, straight away, we'll just experience one of the tools. Okay, looks like some of you also like Mentimeter, the Miro app, yeah, breakout rooms, Microsoft Forms, polls, Yammer, online polls, breakout rooms. Yeah, let's see. And if some of you cannot use the Mentimeter app, you can always share in the chat as well. There's always backups that we have available. Okay, dialogue by unmuting, absolutely. I mean, I would also say, you know, in the end of the day, it's not the technology that makes a difference. Some interaction is just plain simple dialogue over the audio. Absolutely. Video, yeah. I mean, for me, this is like the key, you know, get people on video, no matter how big the audience. It's actually the reason why I have two screens, so that right now on my main screen, I don't see the slides. I just see all of your faces, yeah, because I would like to read people's body language, see their facial expressions. And then I got my backup system where I can use the slides and project. Chat, absolutely. Yeah, I'm always like, when people tell me, yeah, we don't want chat, it kind of distracts. I'm like, why? You know, some people might not be able to unmute. They might have audio issues, or they might let them participate over the chat. You know, some people are also more comfortable participating. I actually think the virtual space gives us so much more opportunities to engage everyone versus just that one person that's speaking, because we can have multiple channels going on where we can create that engagement. Okay. Well, it's good to see that some of the things you are sharing are definitely part of our favorites as well, but looks like we have a few that no one has chosen here. So hopefully that will be a little bit new for you. So let me actually kind of take that down and I'll show you which ones we very much like to use. So just very briefly, and then we're actually going to go straight away in another activity to experience that. So there's many tools we experimented with, many. I think I counted over 30 or 40 apps that I tried out in the last 12 months to create engagement. And it comes down to the 6 that I'm projecting here that I think we almost use in every single session: Jamboard, Padlet, Concept Board, Flippity, Kahoot, and Mentimeter. I'll tell you in a moment why we've chosen them, but a lot of it has to do with budget and bandwidth. But straight away, again, I want to engage you and find out what are things that we might want to consider when selecting our tools. And for that, we're straight away going to experience another technology. So the technology that we're going to experience now is called Jamboard. It's from Google, and it's, again, a free tool. Now, for some of you, this might not work based on your privacy settings. And of course, that's always a little bit of a challenge when you do public sessions like these. I always recommend, when you actually work with a client, you want to do the tech check and make sure whatever tools you're using are enabled by the client. But let's see whether some of you can use it. Again, I posted a link in the chat. If you click on it, you should be taken to a page that looks similar to what I'm projecting right now. And again, you can engage in a little activity. You can pick up a virtual sticky note, a so-called Post-it, by clicking on the left side here on the sticky note. If you click on that, a virtual sticky note opens up and you can type something, put save, and it actually then appears on the screen. Yeah? So let's hear from some of you. As you are selecting tools to use in your own virtual trainings, what do you feel are some of the factors that you need to consider? Feel free to share, insert as many Post-it notes as you want. If the Post-it notes are not working for you, there's also a text tool, the text box at the bottom. You can also click on one of my Post-it notes, and then you see these 3 little dots appear in the upper right corner, and you can then press duplicate, and then your sticky note has been duplicated. You can change colors, you can move it around, make it smaller or bigger. Okay, and again, in case the tool is not working for you, just use the chat. Just use the chat and share your thoughts. Okay, ease of use, yeah, absolutely good one. Level of interaction between the faculty and the participants, yeah. It's the kind of interaction you want, yeah. Different things work for different aspects. Yeah, I mean, the entire idea, absolutely, Chaitanya, is around, creating interaction. But again, all these tools allow you to create different types of interactions. Yeah, simple mobile connectivity. Yeah, we do a lot of training for sales guys and ladies, and very often there we realize that they do a lot of their training on mobile, and not all tools are mobile enabled. So understanding the infrastructure at your, what is the learner, what environment is he in? Extremely important. But also firewalls at companies. What tools might be blocked? For example, Jamboard is a tool that is possibly blocked in China, unless someone uses a VPN to get around it, because most Google products are kind of blocked over there. We do a lot of work with NGOs as well in remote areas of Africa, Bangladesh, Pakistan, and so forth. So bandwidth is an issue. So we try, for example, I love Miro, but Miro takes up a lot of bandwidth, whereas, others like Mentimeter do not. So again, bandwidth might be another one. Yeah. Absolutely, things to motivate the audience. So that's the gamification part. Again, this is about the purpose. If you want to gamify, then Kahoot can sometimes be a very cool thing. Yeah, Amrit, everything is blocked in China. Not everything actually, but a lot. Yeah, we have found things that do work, and I'll show you a few of them. But Mentimeter typically works. Concept Board has worked. Padlet, but anything that's Google-based is typically an issue. Yeah. Okay, well, again, this is a tool for you to experience Jamboard, one of our favorites, especially if you just want to do some brainstorming. You just want people to get to share their thoughts, just like a face-to-face flip chart. You just have very simple ways to insert the Post-its, and it's typically pretty easy to use. Yeah. Absolutely. It is about, very good point, whoever wrote that last yellow Post-it. A lot of it is about user comfort. And I actually always recommend, no matter what tool you use, make sure people are warmed up to the tools. We always do pre-sessions before our trainings to help people navigate the technology so that they don't feel overwhelmed with technology in the session, because the learning should come from the content, from the actual topic, and not from the technology. So the technology should be there to enable us and support us, but not to make our life difficult. Well, good. Some very good points that you've shared in terms of what to consider. Let me maybe tell you the reasons behind the selection of the tools that we have. So the key reason is IT infrastructure, in terms of what have we found IT folks to allow us to use in companies across the globe, no matter what sector they are in. So things that don't take a lot of firewall protection, but then also the learner comfort, the infrastructure of the learners, be it bandwidth and tech comfort, but then also price. Most of the tools that I'm talking about today that you're experiencing, they're pretty cheap. So you don't need to spend a lot of money on actually creating, engagement and using tools. But then most importantly, the purpose. Each of these tools serves a different purpose. Mentimeter is great, to do some polls. It's great to do word clouds. Jamboard, it's great to do some brainstorming and sticky notes. Each tool has its own purpose. And with that, let's actually build on that a little bit and give you an opportunity to go out and explore a little bit more. So one of the tools that we like to use a lot is called Padlet. And again, let me share with you the link so that you can straight away see and experience it. If you click on the link in the chat, you're going to be taken to a Padlet. And this Padlet looks like this. So Padlet allows you to do many different things, and we'll talk about it. But pretty much what I have here is I've created a very simple Padlet mentioning the 6 tools that we like to use. For each of them, there's a column. And then you also have a 7th column, which has space for any other tools that you might use. What I'd like you to do is in case any of these tools intrigue you and you've never used them, but you want to know more about them, take now just 2-3 minutes to put the name of that tool into Google and find out what this tool is all about. And then help us create and brainstorm a little bit more in terms of what can these different tools be used for. You can afterwards add your comments. So the way you add a comment on Padlet, you see a little plus sign below each column. If you click on that plus, it actually allows you to type something. It also allows you to add a link or to upload a photo or a video. So again, you can create a lot of interactions with participants sharing ideas, questions, resources, and you can afterwards also like the things that people are sharing. So in case you're already using some of those tools, some of you said you're using Mentimeter, share with us now what you're using Mentimeter for. If you're using Kahoot already, tell us what you're using Kahoot for. Some of you said Miro. Miro is nothing different than Consent Board, by the way. It's the same kind of aspect. So you can just add your Miro ideas in the concept board column. If there's any other tools that you are using that we have not mentioned, feel free to use that last column that is called other tools you might use. And again, it's just for you to try it out instead of me only talking about these tools. So yeah, Chaitanya, feel free to add Klaxoon, so you can click on this plus signer and then you can just give your entry a new name, Klaxoon. I'm just doing it for you. And then you could write a little bit more about what you're using Klaxoon for. So we saw one of you has added Kahoot as quizzing. Absolutely. I think Kahoot is probably most famous for its gaming, be it online, live, but also delayed. You can do a lot of delayed challenges on Kahoot. We love using Kahoot for reinforcement between modules. After it's, let's say, module 1, you kind of send people a Kahoot challenge, tell them they have 24 hours to complete it, and it allows you to see what all people actually learned. So feel free, even if you have nothing to contribute, just try it out, whether it works for you so that you get a sense for Padlet, another very powerful tool that you can use. And I'll share some examples afterwards. And you can see someone wrote quizzes here. I can like that comment and so forth. So let's see whether anyone is finding out a couple of things. Mentimeter, quick spontaneous responses from video conscious participants. Absolutely, yes. Or, people who are a little bit shy talking. Absolutely, it allows everyone to contribute, to get a little bit of a snapshot of what people think, just what we did with the World Cloud. But Mentimeter actually has a lot more to offer. Mentimeter has a lot of good polls, a lot more features on polling than what's inbuilt in Zoom. Mentimeter also has some great self-assessment, multiple choice. It has some great ranking things that you can do. So it's a great way to quickly gauge through polling what people think about a certain topic. Absolutely. And as you could see, Jamboard can mainly be used for brainstorming. Padlet can be used in many different ways, and I'll show you some examples from our side. Flippity, many of you might not have heard about it. Don't worry. Towards the end of the session now, we'll experience that as well. I'm not just going to talk about these tools. I'll quickly demo all of them to them. Yeah, Slido. Slido is another one, not very different from Mentimeter. Again, they're all pretty similar. They all serve similar purposes. Slido, very similar to Mentimeter. Yeah, absolutely, for polls. Great sharing, Shutorsi. Wonderful. Okay, well, let me take this down like this. You experienced Padlet as well. And let me now just show you a few more things in the way we use it, just to kind of give you a little bit of an idea, and then share with you what we use Flippity for, so that you also get a chance to experience Flippity. So let me give you some user examples, what we use all of this for. So this is an example of how we use Jamboard. We very often use Jamboard at the beginning of sessions to collect participant wishes. So we have this little genie up there on the Jamboard, and we have a little wish lamp for each of our participants with their name on it. And then participants can go to the, to the Post-it with their name on it and share with us what are some of their expectations and wishes for the program. We can then go back to that at the end of our session and actually ask them whether these wishes have been fulfilled. And if they were fulfilled, they can actually delete their Post-its, and we know the genie has done a good job. That is one way. We also work with a lot of clients that do process training. So here is another one. So we created these footsteps, and this is just a mock-up of a process of how to organize a dinner party. But think about the process of customer service, or the process in a hotel on how to facilitate check-in. You could create for each of the steps of the process a footstep. And then you send participants the link to their Jamboard, and they can actually move those footsteps around and create the right sequence. We used to do this face-to-face on the floor, where we had these cutout footsteps, and then people would rearrange them. This is a simple way of doing it in a virtual environment, because Jamboard also allows you to upload images. Here you have a few examples of Padlet. So we love to use Padlet as a learning repository or an interactive resource center, which means we kind of, here you have an example where we had 5 sessions. And in each session, we looked at 5 different activities that, address a certain purpose in training. What we did is, after each session, we uploaded an image of that activity, and then participants could use it as a reference material, but they could also comment on how they're using that activity in their own programs. They could also post questions related to the activity, and we could then respond. So Padlet is a wonderful way to keep learning alive after the training as well, as a resource center, but also before the program, for participants to share questions and for you to answer them. Brainstorming. For example, we created a resource center with 5-6 different videos that we uploaded on Padlet. Ask participants to watch as many as they could before the program and share their key takeaways about it on the Padlet. The advantage is everyone can see and we can collaborate, and becomes this live resource center. Here you have another one. I don't know how many of you are using certificates at the end of a program. Well, here is, we've uploaded certificates in form of a little gift box for our participants on the Padlet. And at the end of the session, we shared this link with participants, and they could open their gift box and get their certificate. So it was kind of used to create a learner celebration. Now, we are not going to experience concept board because it's just too complex. I love concept board for massive workshops where we need to do a lot of collaboration, but it requires a little bit of technical training for people to feel comfortable about. But just quickly, 2 examples of how we use it. We very often use it to get to know each other before a program. We send this empty concept board, which is pretty much a white flip chart, massive and unlimited in space. And we ask participants to create a little visual introduction of who they are. So here you see my introduction from a programmer, a few personal details about myself, a few professional achievements. And like this, participants can get to know each other before the program. And they also have a safe way to experiment with technology. And you can troubleshoot before the program, so that when they come into the actual session, they are ready to use the tool. We also use, I don't know how many of you run World Cafe activities. Miro, Mural, Concept Board are great tools to facilitate World Cafe activities. So what you have here is, we had 4 teams and each team spent 10 minutes on one topic and then they kept rotating clockwise. So just like in an actual room where you might have 4 flip charts in each corner, we had those 4 flip charts on Concept Board and participants could use sticky notes and so forth to do their and share their contributions. So Concept Board, Miro, Mural, wonderful tools for large groups where you need to brainstorm, collaborate, create stakeholder analysis and all of that to visualize everything. Very, very powerful. And last but not least, just on time, we'll do the last activity, which is called Flippity. Now, Flippity is actually one of my favorites. And what I like about it is it's just, again, very, very simple to use. And it allows you to gamify a little bit your sessions. Well, try it out. I created a little scavenger hunt for you based on the content I just shared with you. If you click on the link in the chat, you can then click on each of the locks. It will ask you a question. You can type in the answer. And if the answer is correct, the lock will get unlocked and turn green. And you can then do that for the second one. I'll give you a moment to experiment with it on your own. And I will, for those of you who can't access it, I will share my screen so that you can see what it looks like. But feel free to try it out with the link I send you. So let's say I want to unlock number 1. I'll click on here. And the question is a tool that allows you to create world clouds. What was that? Which tool did we use at the beginning of today to create a world cloud? Anyone wants to, Vinay is saying something, but you are muted. So Vinay, if you want to unmute and shout it out, I'll type it in. Menti, yeah, now you gotta put the full word into it. And I think the full word should be Mentimeter. Yeah, let's see whether it accepts it. I'm gonna click on the check answer. Yeah, bingo, we got 1 point. Yeah, we can then go back. We can try out the second one. Google Jamboard offers you colorful ... notes to facilitate online brainstorming. Sticky, yeah, let's try it out. Sticky, very good, yeah. And what's the third one? A tool that has so many applications, we love to use it for pre-work and post-work activitities. Padlet, yeah, someone is good here. Let's see whether that's correct. It is. And last but not least, the name of the tool that you are currently experiencing, which allows you to gamify your content. If I'm not mistaken, that is Flippity. Let's see. Perfect. And that would be it. Really, really cool, simple tool. Works again, Google-based, allows you to gamify your sessions. Of course, you could send the link to all the participants. They can do it themselves. They can do it in breakout rooms. Loads of different things you can do. There's a few others that you can do on Flippity just to kind of arouse your curiosity. You can do the famous, hangman, or here it's actually a bomb that's going to explode, where you can do quizzes. You can also create something like a randomizer where you can add all the participants' names and then different questions about the content. You can spin it and then randomly it might say Daphne needs to share with us her favorite activity from session 1. So it's a pretty fun, random way to engage participants in a review activity. Loads to do on Flippity. And Shutorsi, about your question, which ones work best with Zoom? All of the ones I just shared with you. They also work, super well on WebEx. They work very well on MS Teams, because the way all of these tools work, it's a link that you create, you send it to the participants on the chat. They participate in an external browser window, and then they kind of use it. All of these tools that I demoed you come with a free basic version that allow you a limited number of participants, but Flippity is unlimited actually. And others, for example, Kahoot, if you want to have more participants, it turns out about $50 a year. That gives you much larger audiences. Mentimeter is free unless you want to brand your slides. Concept board, yeah, absolutely. So Flippity might need whitelisting in some companies because it's unknown, but we've so far had never an issue with getting companies to whitelist it. It's just very often IT had never heard of it. And once they did the check on it, they actually whitelisted it. Here is one last thing that you can do on Flippity. You can actually create these little word searches on Flippity. And this is just for you now as a final activity. You can try your luck and find all the different words that are related to the session that we just had. You can either use the annotate feature if you want on Zoom and underline it, or you can just type the words that you're finding in this maze into the chat. This is another thing that you can create on Flippity very easily. Someone just found concept board, absolutely. Again, it's a nice way. We very often like to start our sessions with this or, you know, a review activity, find the words from the last session, and then you ask people to unmute and talk about how that word maybe resonates. And you can see without really having to say something, it creates engagement and people start looking into it. Yes, Vinay, there's also Kahoot hidden in it. Absolutely, there's a few more. You can try your luck. Someone just found it. Padlet is there, of course, as well. You can probably guess as well which other words I've hidden in the world maze. Well, with that, just right, almost Swiss precision in 30 minutes, I've given you a little bit of a demo of the different tools that we like to use in our sessions. And again, as I said, main reason is ease of use, easy to get them whitelisted, not very expensive, don't really use up a lot of bandwidth. Most of them have a version that is also easy to use on the mobile. Those are some of the key considerations. Most important though is it's not one tool that's better than the other. It's really about the type of engagement that you want to create. So having a little bit the analogy of Switzerland, the Swiss Army knife, you want to have a thick army knife to have different tools available. So with that, I'll wrap it up here and just allow you, in case there's any other questions that you might have or comments, I'm happy to stay back. Yeah, look for Flippity diagonally. There's also diagonally, absolutely, very, very true. Someone just saw that there is actually something hidden. Technology, I think, is diagonally hidden. Some of them Mentimeter, someone just found it. I think Jamboard should be hidden somewhere as well. Maybe also diagonally. So there's different word directions that you can find. But I'll take this down. And thanks for engaging and trying it out. I hope like this, it didn't just sound theoretical, but that you got a chance to actually experience some of those tools. So happy to stay back and answer any questions that you might have. And if not, I would just say, go out there, try them out, experiment with them. They're pretty simple to use, even for a person like me that 18 months ago was really afraid of technology. That was actually another reason why I went with all these tools, because they were just pretty easy to get used to. Okay, happy to take any questions in case there are.
Any questions for Melanie? Ladies and gentlemen, would you like to have any questions for Melanie? Pinky, Gautam, Vinay sir, Mr. Chatterjee, Mr. Babbar, any questions for Melanie? You can Amrit from IOCL, any questions for Melanie?
I think Arun has a question. I can see him kind of raising his hand.
Where do you get so much energy from, Melanie?
Oh, I just like what I do. And the joke is, apparently when I was, I don't know how old I was, like 12 or 13, apparently I touched a fence at a farm and I got an electric shock. which was actually not so much fun. I was in hospital for a few days because, you know, my heart was pretty destabilized. But my dad always now uses it as a joke. I just got an extra, you know, energy induce. No, but I think I just like what I do. Thank you. Vinay, I see that you've just unmuted yourself.
Yeah, Melanie, firstly, my compliments for such a beautifully engaging and energetic session. Because you know, like this kind of the time of the day for most Indians is like siesta time because of the lockdown and things like that. But it's very interesting your session, and I think what it told all of us in great detail is that there are so many tools which are there. Actually, I do a lot of these kinds of sessions, and honestly, I didn't know many of the tools that you illustrated so beautifully. And thanks for that, because I think we have come to the stage where technology can help every conversation become richer. Even though we are far apart, there is still so much which can be achieved. And thanks for showing us that.
Yeah, thank you, Vinay. And, you know, that was really the idea. I mean, you know, I'm going to be very honest. I'm really grateful to technology. I mean, as I said in my short introduction, you know, until a year ago, I lived in India, and COVID kind of had us shifted to Switzerland. We actually got stuck here because of visa issues with our little son. My husband is Indian from Bangalore, and we couldn't get back. And I'm really grateful to technology because it still allows me to do the work that I used to do a year ago. I've not lost a single client. I've been able to continue working with them despite being in Switzerland. And I actually today, after 18 months of working purely online and with a variety of clients in the NGO sector across the globe, in university, corporate, I got to say, there's a lot of advantages in technology and virtual session. You can stagger the learning to reduce content overload by having these mini sessions of 60, 90 minutes, which earlier were very expensive to do because you could not always get people together in a place. And also, they're actually, from a diversity, inclusion, equity perspective, you can create more inclusive engagement with some of those tools because you're not only getting people who are verbally active to engage, but you can stimulate learning in so many different ways. Yes. And yeah, each of these tools, it's really about creating this multi-sensory experience. Each of the tools challenges you in a different way. And so I think technology is really there to support us. It can be a little bit tricky in the beginning to get used to it. And that's why, for example, I have two systems, because on one system I look at you, on the other one I'm running the activities. So they're not interfering. But I think with a little bit of practice, you know, we can get there. And at least I think, you know, virtual is going to stay. I mean, you know, it's no matter whether we like it or not, there's a real opportunity in it as well.
Absolutely.
Melanie, I have a question.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is Shutoshi. I commented on the fact that, you know, you mentioned in one of those slides that you put up that you're an Indian at heart. That really shows, you know. And another thing I wanted to ask you was, you know, a lot of these times you are using some of our leaders to come and take virtual sessions, and because we are bound to do that. I mean, we don't have an option. We cannot engage, you know, external trainers every time to, you know, have regular sessions. So a lot of the times the trainers who come and start training are first-time trainers. They are So what would your suggestion be? I can see a few techniques that you are using. You're definitely standing today, which is something very unique. I've never seen anybody do that. And also, you know, you engaged us beautifully. I could see a lot of hand gestures that you were doing, which is, I think, deliberate. So something like this, can you give us some tips and some hints, some good suggestions, what we can tell our first-time trainers that they can use to engage crowds?
Yeah, I mean, without, first of all, thanks for the comment about being Indian at heart. I mean, I did lose my heart in India as well. My husband is Indian. I had a very South Indian wedding. I actually got to say I'm a South Indian at heart. Yeah. And I know I don't want to offend anyone that's from the North, but I'm a masala dosa girl. Yeah. That's the kind of family I grew up into. Yeah. So, and so that's even after giving birth, the first thing I wanted was just chutney and the masala dosa and the nice coffee. And I'm dying to come back to Bangalore and go to MTR at the moment. Travels are again possible. But, Sudarshi, I mean, it's interesting what you're asking me. And, I don't want to use it as a pitch, but that's what we specialize in. So I work with a lot of first-time trainers, with a lot of functional experts, technical trainers, to exactly support them in that. And first, it's about creating a platform for you internally. I mean, if, bring the trainers together and create these experimental sessions. I think the key is to try stuff out together. If a trainer doesn't get an opportunity to try out things and pilot stuff and get feedback from peers, it's very difficult. So for example, last year when COVID hit, we were impacted like everyone. All of a sudden, I used to travel 200 days a year for training across the globe. Bam, everything came to a standstill. And yeah, we invested in a Zoom license. Then we started trying out, but I was nervous. I was scared. And, I made so many mistakes and systems crashing and, whatever. But then I set up so-called labs where I got together trainers and we just took one tool at a time to experiment. And so I think one recommendation for me would be create these experimental labs where you get trainers together and say, okay, let's today explore Mentimeter, how we can use it. And then the next week, let's explore Padlet, and you just kind of try it out. I also highly recommend, if you're new to the virtual setting, have someone assist you. It can be very overwhelming managing everything in one go, setting up breakouts, looking at the chat, but also engaging the audience. Have a co-facilitator, run the sessions together. First of all, that person can monitor the chat, they can help you, but you can also use it as feedback. And when it comes to the presence, I think that is really not different than the face-to-face. I mean, I got to be very honest. I don't know why everyone sits virtually. None of you, if you do training face-to-face, are sitting. So why are you sitting all of a sudden in a virtual environment? I don't know. I mean, I had for 6 months last year, no home because we got stranded in Switzerland. We lived out of different places. So I didn't really have an office, but what I had were books. And what I would do is I would stack up books, on a bed or on a chair and put my laptop on top so I could still stand. Because if I'm standing, you get the energy, you get the voice, you get the body language. If I'm sitting, you don't get that air to breathe. So one is a very simple reminder, remember what you're doing face to face and try to do that in the virtual as well. The other one is really try to co-facilitate. I think that is really something. The first few sessions last year, I always co-facilitated. It gave me the confidence and the comfort that someone else was there. So I was less stressed. Because you can have a power cut, something can happen, and then your colleague can take over. I think that just reduces a lot of the stress. Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And if not, also get them to follow us. I mean, we keep sharing, by the way, on our website and on our LinkedIn page, we keep sharing so many activity ideas for free. We really made it a practice last year to give, to try and give a lot because we want people to be successful in this virtual space. So we keep posting a lot about activities that we use and share how they can be run because it's out there, just use it. The world is big enough for all of us. So, just try them out. Even the activities I shared today, feel free to steal them and use them in your own sessions.
Hi, Melanie, Pinky here.
Yeah, hi, Pinky.
Melanie, thank you so much for a wonderful, energetic session and giving us a practice on these tools. I just wanted to understand if we were to experiment it as first timers, then what is the free trial version? As in, what is the duration of the free trial versions?
So Mentimeter, I've been on a free version for 18 months now.
Okay.
So that's ongoing, because the only thing that's different when you do a paid version is that it's branded, and it gives you a few more options, but the free version is absolutely sufficient. On Padlet and, for example, Concept Board, what gets limited with the free version is the number of active Padlets or the number of active concept boards. So all you would need to do is just keep deleting them, and then you could go on for as many months as you want. It's just like for us as a company, we sometimes have 5-6 sessions happening in a day where all of us are using Padlet. So we need many active Padlets. So that's why we upgraded to a paid account, which I think is about $40 or $50 a year. So it's not massive, yeah. But again, if you just keep deleting your Padlets, you can use them. The Jamboard is free included because we have a G Suite account. We use Gmail for it, comes with Gmail. So again, that's free. And Flippity is free for as long as you want. Again, if you want the paid version, it's just about branding.
Okay.
But I don't mind that Flippity is everywhere. I mean, I don't mind. I spend money. I don't need my brand out there. So.
Okay. There are no security issues in terms of when you use it for various sessions for different organizations. There are organizations, I mean, manufacturing setups, highly regulated setups. So, do people come back to you saying that this is not being accepted or something like this? Have you gotten feedback around that?
Yeah, we've had, I do a lot of work with the defense ministries as well. So it doesn't get anything higher regulated than I've had participants, in one of our programs from the FBI. So you can imagine those are highly, highly regulated. Home Ministry in Singapore, Defense Ministry in Australia. And we just sit down with the IT and get it checked. And the only thing that in some cases was rejected was the Jamboard. Everything else, because you can create separate logins. And even on the Jamboard, what you can do is you can keep the Jamboard unlocked for the duration of your session and then afterwards lock it. So there are different access that you can play with. Just like anything on the Google Drive, you can give people edit rights or just view rights or block it. And so you can also play around with that. I've never had anyone block Padlet for us, no client, they were all, and Mentimeter as well. We've had a few companies where Flippity was just not enabled because people didn't know about it, so it triggered an alert. But the moment they looked into it and realized it doesn't really create or leave any footprints, in terms of cookies afterwards, they whitelisted it. But I think that's another key learning from the last 18 months. Our stakeholder management has gotten extended to managing IT as well. So whenever I work with a new client, one of the first meetings besides talking to the business and L&D is IT, to check all the different tools and make sure they are actually enabled.
Thank you.
You're most welcome. Well, in case you have any additional questions, you can always contact me as well. You can find me on LinkedIn. You can always connect and also reach out. I'll try and do my best to respond within latest 48 hours, depending on how busy the day is, managing the business. And also my little son, who is turning 2 this weekend, is of course sometimes quite some work, but I do my best to respond within 48 hours. So I'm just sharing my LinkedIn profile so you can always reach out in case you encounter any roadblocks as you're trying stuff out. Because trust me, you will stumble. When you try out these tools the first time, you'll make mistakes. That's why before trying it out live, try it out with a colleague in a small, safe setting. Because there are settings that can be wrong or things that sometimes go wrong. Test those, do dry runs. I think that's another key learning in the virtual space. Well, Christian and Rani, isn't it high time for people to get their coffee and samosas, which unfortunately, of course, in the virtual space, you got to make it yourself. No one will deliver it. Though I think, if I'm not mistaken, You do get some of these coffee apps now on, let's see what we can find here. Yeah, let's see. We can have some ice cream together. No, Zoom has now all these emoticons where you can pick your favorite snacks. And by the way, one of you asked before about how do they work with Zoom. Not sure whether many of you are aware, but Zoom has just released a latest update. And you can now have certain apps integrated into your Zoom. So Kahoot, Mentimeter, Miro, Concept Board, they are integrated into your Zoom app, which makes the use of it even easier.
All right, thank you for a lovely session, Melanie. And assuming there are no other questions, we would like to close talking tomorrow on day 1. We hope all of you had a wonderful day with us. And one pointer for tomorrow, please come back with the Kahoot app downloaded on your mobile phones, because there are some gaming activities lined up for the habit session on Kahoot tomorrow. So thanks a lot, everybody. And if you want to reach out to Melanie, you can always reach out to her on her LinkedIn or write to us or even WhatsApp me, and I will forward everything to her. So thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening and happy tea or coffee. See you tomorrow, 10:30 a.m. Melanie, many thank yous from far away India, which is your home, our home, and see you soon in Switzerland. Bye-bye.
Absolutely. Well, actually, I hope we see each other in India.
Bye-bye.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
All the best. Have a great day tomorrow as well. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.